In the final frantic seconds of a 2023 Final Four matchup, with a trip to the national championship on the line, San Diego State guard Lamont Butler possessed the ball. The clock bled away. The moment demanded a decision. He drove, pulled up, and released a shot at the buzzer. It was good. That single play, known simply as the shot, against FAU, sent his team to college basketball's ultimate game. It's a moment of composure etched into the history of the NCAA tournament. A year later, in April 2024, that same player made a decision that shocked many. He committed to the University of Kentucky. At the time, the Wildcats were still reeling from years of high-stakes disappointments. But Butler's arrival under new head coach Mark Pope signaled more than just a roster change. It marked a potential tectonic shift in how Kentucky builds its teams. The move sparked a fundamental debate. In the modern era of college basketball, what is more valuable for a team with championship aspirations? Is it the heralded five-star freshman guard brimming with raw potential, or is it the veteran, a player whose numbers may not leap off the page, but whose resume is defined by proven performance when the pressure is at its most extreme? This is the story of the veteran solution, and the central question of how Lamont Butler could come to define Kentucky basketball more than any one-and-done guard of the past decade. The University of Kentucky men's basketball program found itself at a crossroads in the spring of 2024. The long and successful tenure of Coach John Calipari had officially come to an end, an era defined by its relentless pursuit of top-tier high school talent. Under Calipari, the program became synonymous with the one-and-done phenomenon, a pipeline that, according to official records, produced 26 total Wildcats on NBA rosters during his time. The model was clear: recruit the most heralded freshmen, develop their immense talent over a single season, and watch them become high-level draft picks at the next level. But the arrival of new head coach Mark Pope brought with it a very different approach, one that became immediately visible through his aggressive work in the transfer portal. The commitment of Lamont Butler was not an outlier. It was a cornerstone. It represented a deliberate shift away from raw, undeveloped freshman talent and toward acquiring players with extensive collegiate experience. Butler's transfer from San Diego State was a clear signal. This was not just about filling a roster spot. It was about anchoring a new philosophy. The decision to bring in a senior guard, a player who had already played 4 seasons of college basketball, made one thing evident. The priority was no longer just about collecting the highest raw talent ceiling, but about players who had navigated the crucible of high-level college competition, especially in the single elimination chaos of the NCAA tournament. The strategy had shifted from talent development for the pros to championship readiness for right now. To understand the significance of a player like Lamont Butler, one must first examine the pattern that preceded him. The late Calipari era at Kentucky was marked by a recurring and troubling narrative. Rosters filled with supreme talent that faltered under the unique pressures of the postseason. The teams consistently featured some of the nation's top recruits, yet the results in March often fell short of the preseason hype or the immense individual potential on the floor. A leadership vacuum became a point of discussion, especially among the guards, who are often the on-court extension of the coach. Consider DJ Wagner, a former top 5 recruit. Despite his talent, he was unable to provide the steadying presence required during the chaotic, do-or-die atmosphere of an NCAA tournament game. Even looking back at a player who stayed beyond his freshman year, like Isaiah Briscoe, illustrates the challenge. As a sophomore, Briscoe put up solid numbers, averaging 12.1 points and 4.2 assists per game. He even recorded the program's first triple-double in decades. Yet that individual brilliance did not consistently translate into the collective composure needed for deep March runs. The recurring issue wasn't a lack of talent. The evidence suggests it was a deficit in a specific kind of leadership, the kind forged only through repeated exposure to the intense pressure of postseason basketball. These teams were learning on the job in moments that offered no margin for error. Contrast the situation at Kentucky with the resume Lamont Butler brought with him from San Diego State. His career isn't defined by recruiting rankings or NBA draft projection, but by tangible, high-stakes achievements. The most cited moment, his game-winning shot against FAU in the 2023 Final Four, a play widely recognized as the very encapsulation of what Kentucky had been missing. A guard who doesn't just perform in big games, he thrives when the outcome rests on a single possession. That shot wasn't a fluke. It wasn't an isolated incident. It was the culmination of a career built in meaningful contests. Over his 4 years at San Diego State, Butler competed in 12 separate NCAA tournament games. That figure alone represents a depth of experience that most Kentucky freshmen, by the very nature of the one-and-done model, could never accumulate. But it's more than a number. It's 12 unique pressure situations, 12 sets of tactical adjustments, and 12 opportunities to execute in a win-or-go-home environment. He was a key component, a leader on a team that made a run to the Final Four in 2023 and ultimately played for the national championship. His experience is not theoretical, it's documented. While other guards were just beginning their collegiate journey, Butler was already navigating the final weekend of the season, performing on the brightest stage college basketball has to offer. The statistical comparison between Lamont Butler and the high-profile freshman Kentucky has featured reveals a core difference in basketball philosophy. During his final season at San Diego State, Butler averaged 9.3 points per game. On the surface, that number might seem modest, especially when compared to the projections, and at times, the production of five-star recruits. But the analysis suggests that this comparison misses the point. The value proposition of a veteran guard like Butler isn't rooted in high-volume scoring or an inflated usage rate. Instead, his value is anchored in efficiency and basketball intelligence. A lower usage rate for a player like Butler doesn't represent a limitation on his ability to score. It represents a mature understanding of game flow. It signifies a player who has learned the crucial distinction of when to assert himself as a scorer and when to facilitate for others. That's a nuanced skill that often takes young players years to develop. While talented teenagers are still learning the speed, the physicality, and the complex defensive schemes of the college game, a veteran guard has already been through that learning curve. The result? A player who makes decisions based not on instinct or raw talent alone, but on a deep reservoir of past experience against elite competition. In this context, the numbers don't tell a story of individual dominance. They tell a story of calculated, efficient impact. The efficiency-first approach of a veteran guard creates what the report describes as a multiplier effect, one that can transform an entire offensive system. This effect stands in direct opposition to the dynamic often seen with ball-dominant freshmen. While immensely talented, first-year guards frequently monopolize possessions as they acclimate to the collegiate level. Their process of learning on the fly, discovering what works and what doesn't against longer, faster, and smarter defenders can sometimes come at the expense of team cohesion and offensive flow. The offense, in effect, begins to revolve around their individual development. Lamont Butler's demonstrated style of play suggests a very different dynamic. His ability to make others better elevates his teammates rather than overwhelming them. A guard who understands offensive and defensive schemes, who knows where his teammates are supposed to be, and who can make the right read under pressure, creates a more predictable and effective environment for everyone on the floor. Instead of one player attempting to break down a defense through individual skill, the offense can function as a more integrated unit. This veteran presence can calm a team in chaotic moments, ensure proper spacing, and deliver the ball to the right player at the right time. It shifts the offensive focus from individual creation to collective execution, a quality that is often the hallmark of successful tournament teams. The argument for Lamont Butler's potential impact becomes, as the report states, undeniable when focusing on one specific quantifiable metric: NCAA tournament experience. Butler entered the Kentucky program with 12 tournament games on his resume. That includes navigating the bracket to a Final Four and playing in a national championship game. It's a level of experience in college basketball's most critical moments that is, by definition, impossible for a freshman to possess. Consider the journey of even the most successful one-and-done guards Kentucky has produced. They enter their first and only March Madness with 0 tournament games played. Their entire understanding of that unique pressure is theoretical, built on practice reps and film study. They are learning on the job, in real time, during games where a single bad possession can end a season and erase championship dreams. Butler, in contrast, has already been tested in those crucible moments. He has faced the end-of-game scenarios, the intense media scrutiny, and the physical and mental fatigue of a deep tournament run. This experience is not something that can be simulated in practice or measured by a recruiting services ranking system. It is earned capital, an asset that a team can draw upon when the stakes are at their absolute highest. It is critical to acknowledge the counter-argument ceiling. Critics of the veteran-first approach argue, with supporting evidence, that 5-star freshmen possess a higher theoretical ceiling than a 4th or 5th-year player like Lamont Butler. The history of the Kentucky program under John Calipari serves as a primary exhibit in this case. The 26 players on NBA rosters stand as a testament to the program's ability to identify and develop elite world-class talent. The individual upside of a top-rated recruit like DJ Wagner or others before him is often perceived to exceed the individual ceiling of Butler. These young players possess a rare combination, size, athleticism, and raw skill that projects directly to the NBA level. They're seen as future lottery picks, franchise players, and even all-stars. From a pure talent development perspective, the one-and-done model has been demonstrably successful at producing professional basketball players. The argument then is that by prioritizing a veteran, someone with a more defined and potentially lower ceiling, a program like Kentucky might be sacrificing the chance to develop the next transcendent superstar. This viewpoint prioritizes the maximization of individual talent as the primary goal of the program. The counter-argument, while valid in its assessment of raw talent, ignores a crucial element: context. The central thesis presented is that the Kentucky program, at this specific juncture, does not have a primary need for another player with high NBA potential. The objective has shifted. The immediate goal is the pursuit of a national championship, and that pursuit demands a different set of tools. The debate is framed through the lens of physics. Raw talent without championship experience is potential energy. A player like Lamont Butler represents kinetic energy. Potential energy is stored. It is the promise of what could be. The 5-star freshman is the embodiment of this. A player who might, with time and development, become an unstoppable force. But that development is not guaranteed to happen within the compressed, high-stakes timeline of a single college basketball season. Lamont Butler, on the other hand, represents kinetic energy, the energy of motion and immediate application. He is a player who has already converted his potential into proven on-court results in the moments that matter most. The argument is not that his talent is greater. It's that his ability to apply that talent effectively under pressure in a championship context is already established. This reframes the conversation from who is the better pro prospect to who is better equipped to lead this specific team to a championship right now. Ultimately, the acquisition of Lamont Butler represents a clear philosophical choice for Kentucky basketball. The program is pivoting from a model that hopes teenage guards can mature quickly enough to lead a championship run to one that actively acquires a proven winner who has already navigated college basketball's highest peaks of pressure. In a sport where March Madness success often hinges more on veteran composure than on raw athletic ability, Butler's experience is presented as the ultimate differentiator. His presence changes the dynamic of the team's most critical moments. The analysis concludes with a powerful projection. When Kentucky faces its next decisive tournament possession, one that could extend a season or end it, the ball will not be in the hands of a promising freshman learning on the fly. It will be in the hands of a guard who has not only been in that exact situation before, but who has already hit one of the biggest shots in the recent history of the sport. That distinction, the difference between learning and knowing, between potential and proof, is what the program is betting on. And that single difference might just prove to be transformational.